So we have today a special segula of Rav Mendel Rimanova to say the Aliyah of the Parshat of Man.
Yeah,
Yom
today's
Shlishi of Parshat Bashalach. I didn't hear anyone talk about it in Shevat David. Maybe they're doing it privately, but nevertheless, I want to just remind everyone and myself the importance of this inyan. Parshat of Man, that Panasa is totally from Shamayim, who the Shliach is and who isn't, and how you make it, and where it's all from Shamayim, constantly machazik in the truth. So Bli Neder, when I get home, I'm going to sit with my tefillin, where Ben Atam, put on the tefillin, open up the chumash, and l'kayim that beautiful segula, and to remember also, have in mind all the beautiful neshamas in Kan Yunis, all the soldiers. We just lost 23 souls who their neshamas have gone up to the highest realms. And when we're learning and we're doing these segulas, then there's a bigger picture going on. Like we just learned that getting rid of all the kitrugim, all the negative energy, all the gezeras, through screaming out in prayer and davening and with our broken hearts in Kaddish and all the other parts. We have the ability to bring a lot of good through our avoda, and we have to keep going in that positive direction. Amen. Amen. Yashreinu matov hokeinu manayim goreinu. So in order to get them to come learn Tanya, I tell them we're not learning Sefer Tanya, we're learning Tanya.
all right.
Yeah, I've got them. You know what I'm talking about. As they say in Kabbalah, those who understand.
So Shevat is tomorrow night.
Yes.
Shevat's like
I
mean, it's like a national holiday here, right?
Yes.
Like even in the secular world.
Well, I don't remember taking a day off for Tu B'Shvat, but they do let you go home maybe a little bit earlier in some of the schools, or because they make a tish. But it's not like that. No, it's not like Purim or.
Purim's like even if that's also.
Yeah, you don't get like paid leave like Yom Ha'atzmaut or something. It's
right.
Not like that. No. It's just the fact that people are happy and they plant trees and JNF and all that kind of stuff. In the Torah world, the Chassidish world,
Tikkun Olam.
Yeah, but in the Torah world, they have Tishim. So I still haven't heard back from my faithful Chassidim in Yerushalayim when exactly it is, because I'm not there to check on the board or whatever. But Mr. Hashem, they'll get back to me, and I'll have the schus to go see my Rebbe. I hope. If I don't hear from anyone, then I'm not going to go. But in the end, it's that clients all need to help each other get to where they need to get to. So I can't force anything. That's been my cloud recently. So yesterday they were down south, a lot of our chevra, and from Shevat David.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't force that. Also, I had to be in Yerushalayim. It was a good shir though, Baruch Hashem. Thank you, Hashem, for the shir we got.
Right, in Yerushalayim?
No, the shir beforehand. And from Rav Shlomo.
Yeah, that was nice.
And it connects in a little bit to what we're learning, because thank God it's from Rav Ginsburg, who's a big chassid of the Rebbe.
Right.
And so we're hearing from the Bavitch, this way or that way, from Chabad. There was a picture going around, if you saw, of Elon Musk and Ben Shapiro at
Elon Musk, yeah.
And the guy, the chazan, people sent me pictures saying is
looks
that
like you.
Did you think that?
I thought it definitely looked like you.
So it went around a little bit. It was funny, a viral moment that I wasn't even there. So I said Baruch Hashem, and I felt very meaningful when I shared this, that I'm in Eretz Yisrael, and I spent my day, as I just said, like in Shir in Efrat, in Yerushalayim, in Gush Etzion. Like I'm in good places. This is the whole point of everything we went through in the Holocaust, not to make a museum out of it,
right?
But to live on and to learn and grow and have families, and this is our victory. And please God, my son in Kan Yunis right now, it's intensified, so we should have in mind everyone there. There's 3 soldiers that my nephew's friends with, unfortunately, who were killed yesterday in a similar unit to my son, because the fighting's got more intense there, so we need to have in mind. And also for Shlema for Kiva Yosef Ben Dina there. He's been having a lot of problems with his eyes the last few weeks due to an accident. And we need to, there's a lot of fuas that are needed. He's my other nephew from the same side of the family. two nephews. People are going through stuff like all around and around. So we need to just really daven and learn. And it's not just the davening, the feelers, it's also the learning. But I said to a few Choshev people yesterday, it's not just the learning and the davening, it's also the Ma'asim Tovim, the Chesed, the Ahavas Yisrael. Not just thinking about your own Panasa situation, thinking about other people's. Everyone's going through stuff right now, all around. And whoever can help, whoever does Chesed and Ahavas Chesed, and gives opportunities for each other. There's so many things going on, like where I have, Baruch Hashem, the ability to do business and stuff, and a lot of my business has shifted to other people, and it's just a matter of me not taking it personally, and just it's difficult because they're meant to be good friends, I think they are, but I just think the way they think about business is a little bit in their own story, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So it's fine. Hashem decides everything. And I was having a words with friends in London. No, Manchester, funny enough. Manchester, my Manchester boy, holy guy, Mark David Cantor. And he said to me, you must feel so humble right now, like based on all these different scenarios that happened while I was in England with the institutions there. The sincere people I managed to connect with, Baruch Hashem, and all my close friends and family. But the institutions, it's another story. And he said, so humbling. I said, yeah, it is. And this is one of the reasons we're learning Tanya, because it brings you to an aspect of bittul yesh. If you come out feeling a little bit less, more important yourself, and a little bit more bottled to Ratzon Hashem, and able to do, what Hashem wants with Simcha, and when your wife's upset with you, because you didn't do the Ratzon Hashem, so then you're able to be quiet and not fight back, and all these kind of situations that come up on day in, day out, and it starts to improve your life a little bit, then it's all worth it. It's worth everything, because we're here in this world to do Ratzon Hashem, do our tafkid. We're not here to control who treats us this way, who treats us that way, and any agendas. It's just purely doing here for Hashem, and to bring our light to the world, our unique light. Okay. So you can see here also with this whole sugya with Beinani, it's difficult because it's very unique. It's like Rabbi says, Ana Beinani, I'm a Beinani. It's about his level, who he is, and on his level, he really thinks and believes, and maybe we have to say, based on the Torah, based on Tanya, based on the Gemara that it brings it, he really is a Beinani. So even if that makes all of us look a little bit, nervous, or maybe what are we then? But the point is, that's the individuality of this whole sugya.
Right.
And I think I keep saying it, but you got the point. It's about inner state. That Zohar is the key. The inner state of each of us individually is the point of this whole sugya. If you take it personally, if you in a negative way, that I'm a Rasha, God forbid, you define yourself wrongly. Now, Rav Shama did say something which I agree with, but I'm careful with. He said about you do have to make definitions. Hashem wants to make definitions: light, darkness, good, bad. Well, I'm not scared of making definitions. I just want to make external definitions that actually just divide us more.
Right. When he said that point, I was like about to jump.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't say anything. Actually,
I didn't, because the only reason why I didn't is because I saw that he was getting very frustrated by
one or two of the interactions.
By a couple of the interactions. So.
Because he was under pressure, he had to get to this.
Yeah, he wanted to finish or whatever.
Wednesday might be better to bring it up, because unless there's another outing somewhere, which generally around here there's always something going on.
Right.
But if he manages to not have that pressure on him, maybe it'll be easier to just because there's still time. That's the good thing with this whole sugya. I think this is going to be a long project. I don't think it's like we're going to just bring it up and then run off of it. Like it needs to be discussed further. And just like with this whole Beinani sugya is going to take a long time to understand it. We're going to have chapters on this. We might not even discuss specifically Beinani for a while. I think it's till like chapter 12 or till 15 or something like that, which is a while away. But even if we don't get back to these explicit Nakuda of Beinani, but we're going to map out very clear the soul in terms of Tzaddikim, Rishayim, Beinanim. We're going to get a very clear picture of how it looks, and once again, it has to be very individual in how you internalize it, and very inner. It's inner. It's not these superficial definitions. It's panemius definitions.
Right.
And that's the chilek that needs to be made. I think Rav Shlomo was also making that yesterday. It's about panemius. It's about going back to the Torah. It's not about political or whatever. Yeah, so that's not going to help. Okay, so let's learn. The intro was just to help us so we don't get lost over here, because it can be a little bit frustrating, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so yesterday we ended off with Tzaddik Yesod Olam, which is always a good place to stop. Yeah, remember Tzaddikim, they're the ones that all the shefa, all the goodness, everything that we daven for comes through. They're the ones who live the true life. So we ended off saying that with a Tzaddik, that there are not many of these Tzaddikim in the generation. It's very important to put it in context. Let's not imagine that we're surrounded by, Halavai, Mashiach comes. There's always this joke people say, you have a million of Tzaddikim, if there was a million of people like you, it's like a nice way of saying something positive to someone. But, what we're talking about here, the Panemius concept of Tzaddikim, Tzaddik Yesod Olam, like you said from Rav Weinberger, we're not just going to throw around this word Tzaddik. It's quite a serious definition of someone who's bottled to the Ratzon Hashem and doesn't have a Yetzer Hara that impacts his life. And I think that was the Nakuda which brought you. I mentioned it to my wife yesterday. We went out for a coffee. We haven't done that for ages in Jaffa, like a year and a half or something.
Nice.
And it was really nice. And I brought up your point about the Bain. It's important to discuss some Chassidus with your wife as well, what we're learning. I think it's important because even without getting into details, they'll want to hear something. And she said that what you said about the Bainani being a struggle with the Yetzer Hara, that state of mind, that's the point. That will make you a Bainani even if you're having momentary falls.
Right.
Because your state of mind is a mindset of a Bainani.
Right.
Even if you're going to have those momentary falls that Rabbah never did.
Right. Exactly.
That still puts you in the Klal of Bainanim. And I think that's really important. I don't think everyone might agree with that, but I think it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks. We got to figure out this and make sense for ourselves.
Well, you got to figure. The way I look at it is that the reason why the Baal Tanya wrote this was for his Hasidim.
Right.
He didn't write it for his best Hasidim because his best Hasidim probably didn't need him. He needed it for the guys that needed it.
They were writing their own seifers. Own seifers.
Like he even says it.
Like Yitzhak Homema, right? There's something, I think it's called, what's it called? Yichud. Something also Yichud Amunah, but like Sharem, Yichud Amunah. Has all these beautiful svarim on and they're like Rebbe svarim themselves. So he had people around him who were huge. Yeah?
And he writes
Hillel Parks, whatever his name was. I remember all the names of the Chassidim, but they were huge people and have svarim. Beautiful. I don't know. Yitzhak Homena wasn't by him. I think it was different Chassid. But Hillel Parks was definitely by him. And there's svarim there that were so big. I've learned some of them a little bit, and they're so big. Like you feel like you're with the Balatanya on a certain level. So he had big Talmidim, and so did all the Rebbes.
Right.
They had big students, like Rav Yoel Khan by the recent Lubavitch Rebbe.
Hudaleb of Anapol.
Yeah, so you heard that was one of their probations. But
Never heard of him.
Yeah, he was also. I mean, if he was by Reb Zusha, put together with Reb Zusha, he wasn't a small person.
The author of the Or HaGanuz.
Yeah, there we go. And let's look at Talmidim of the Alter Rebbe. Let's see what it says on Google. I'm just seeing if there's any Talmidim. It takes us to. I don't want to get all the names wrong.
It was like back then there were so many tzaddikim.
Yeah, that was another thing.
Because people were like just drinking from like the purest fountains of like the Baal Shem Tov.
Right. Even the shikar of the Talmud of the Maggid was this huge person. There's a whole story about him.
The Maggid of Mezrich they had.
That's one that I love when you go into the Sipurim of the Tzaddikim.
Yeah. With Moshe Shapiro.
Yeah, it brings Moshe Shapiro here.
It just says it, the publishing house.
Yeah. Oh, the original Moshe Shapiro, not the modern day. Yeah, the famous family Shapiro. They were big publishers.
The publishing houses back then were all run by mafias.
I wouldn't say that about this Tzaddik.
Not him, but I'm saying in general. Where was I that I heard all the stories? Like even with the Tanya, they would purposely mess up his print in the beginning.
Oh yeah, they had to keep reprinting because there was all kinds of... They
reprinted it because they kept messing it up.
Yeah, it was complicated.
It was the same.
It was a power thing then, yeah. I have issues with the institutions. They're always difficult, even till now.
Institutions, yeah.
Look, I feel good though. I was able to say something back at them that was fulfilling to say that, to not just be a shmata, but also to have what to say back. Not because I'm looking for machlokas, but just to remind them that it's about sincerity. It's not just about their agenda of their institution. There's neshamas and there's people that are needing chizuk, and they can't just get so caught up in their in what they're trying to accomplish. And Aaron Alevi of Strashala, he was one of his top students. Excuse me. There's quite a lot of Hasidim. Yeah, there was big people back then. They also
Wikipedia.
didn't. Yeah, Wikipedia is pretty helpful.
So I find Wikipedia to be anti-Semitic.
A little bit, yeah.
They're always like the occupied territories of the West Bank.
Some of the standards
illegal by international.
Well,
whatever.
They were trying to talk about different places, like in podcasts that are objective, and Wikipedia, unfortunately, is apparently not really on that list anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's been a sort of, like a lot of things, taken over by certain agendas again.
Yeah, like taken over by the left. So you look at it, it's like.
Well, this is the whole thing, that it's a bureau of light and darkness, a clarification,
right.
And there's so much mixed up stuff. But they're talking about holy people, but they've got an agenda, and it's really sad that it means a lot of work on our side to not just believe everything you look at and take things superficially. Once again, you have to really seek out the truth, be a mavakesh, and not just superficial. So even when learning the Sefer, it's going to be a journey of it's a little bit, I'm finding it a little bit more difficult than the Kitamaran, because the Kitamaran's like this big light in Chizuk, whereas this is a bit more like Lamdish work,
Yeah.
I mean, he was called the Litvak for a reason, yeah.
Right.
People called him the Litvak. Because he was,
Tanya.
he was called the Litvak. It's so funny, because Vilna Gaon is called the Chassid. So wow. Sense of humor. Called the Vilna Gaon the Chassid, and he really was the Litvak, and the Litvak who's really was the biggest foundation of Chassidus was called the Litvak.
Right. I think the reason I find this about the Tanya to be important is because sometimes you see the guys who just learn Likutei Moharan, and they're just they're flying.
Yeah, you can definitely fly Likutei Moharan. But my Bresover Mashpim that I learned originally with always said to me, this is all Al Tanoi, that you keep learning Niglas Torah, you keep learning Chumash Rashi, Gemara, Shulchan Aruch, Mishnayos. That's one of the. I was trying to get hold of this guy starting a new Breast of Yeshiva, and he never phoned me back. He just sent a message. Maybe he's scared of me, or maybe he's busy, whatever it is. Mr. Shem, we'll hear from him, I hope, because I just afraid it was just going to be another one of these Breast of Yeshivas where they just you're hinting at, they're just flying on the Rebbe, but not enough grounding in. Because remember, the Rebbe, the Breast of a Rebbe, the Chabad Rebbe, all these people were huge Gaonim in Torah.
Right.
So they didn't come to all their huge Musagim, just skipped 20 years and just went straight to these high levels of Panemius. They had to build the foundations in Kol Torah Kula and everything.
Yeah. Well, one of the biggest Gaonim in the Mir Yeshiva today is Tzvi Cheshem.
Yeah, sure.
And he's a hardcore wrestler.
And yet he's a huge Talmid Chacham.
Yeah.
And there's no stirrer really. A real Brestover, a real Chabadnik, generally they're real Talmid Chachamim. They're people who know Torah. Like with Jacobson, when I would be with him, I couldn't believe the breadth of Torah that he knows.
Wow.
I was with him for about 4 days on a bus, except for the few times he went into a hotel to sleep and eat, or 1 or 2 times that we were in a mikveh, or 1 or 2 times we were in the Mekomis Kedoshim, all the different kvarim we went to, the Or Lamea and all these beautiful places. But whenever he was on the microphone, which is pretty much the rest of the time non-stop, it was just overflowing Torah, and not just Chabad, everything. He's a Goin. He knows so much Torah. And one of the people he comes to visit when he comes to Israel is my Rebbe, the Talmud Rebbe. He comes and talks to him in Torah. He had a Rambam one time, someone told me he was asking him about.
Wow.
Yeah, it's serious.
So it brings us to the Torah of the Beinoni.
Let's do it. Tzadik Yesod On. The explanation of the question raised was found the light of what Rabbi Chaim Vital wrote in the Shah. Yeah, let's read. Ach Bia Inyan Al Pima Shekosov HaRav Chaim Vital Zatzal B'Shah HaKedusha. Yeah, this is the Chaim Vital was the main Talmud of the Arizal. So once again, what we're saying is always this Masorah from the Maharal, from the Arizal. We're getting a Masorah here from the Shtar Kodesh, from the Maggid and Baal Shem Tov, Shar Kedusha. Yes, what's to say? Ve'etz Chaim Shar Nun Perek Beis. The Kol Ish Yisrael Echad Tzadik ve'Echad Rasha Yesh Shtei Neshamas Diksiv. V'Nishmas Ani Asisi Shehen Shtei Nefashos Nefesh Achatz Mitzar Klipa V'Sitcha Acha V'Izbashos Bedam Ha'odem L'Chayas Aguf Diksiv Ki Nefesh Abasa Bedam Hi. Mene Ba'os Kol Midas Ras Ma'abi Yisodis Raim Shabbat Dahainu Kas Gaiva Misoda Eish Nikva Lamala. Okay, and it's going to go through each one. V'taiva Tanugim Yisoda Mayim Masichim Kol Minei Tanug holiest Letzanos Tiferes Devayim B'Telim Misoda Ruach V'Asus Atzvus Misoda Afa. Okay, so that's all the not good. Yeah, but the point is, says the Rav Chaim Vital, that the idea that every Yisrael there's one tzaddik, whether a tzaddik, whether a Rasha, they have two souls.
Right.
Nishmas ani asisi. I made these souls. We're reading, translating it now. Shen shtei nefashos. There are two nefashos souls. Nefesh achas misada klipa. There's a soul that's, and remember nefesh neshama. What's the chiluk? We have to discuss that sometime. Nefesh achas misada klipa. Yeah, what is the side of the klipa is like a shell, husk, however you want to call it. Sitra achra, the other side. He must beshes bedam, and it's clothed in the blood of the person, and lachayas a guf, which is what gives energy to the guf. So this is important to recognize that there's a vivifying energy that's working through the dam of a person, but it's on the side of husks on the other side. It's going through the blood. It's giving you koyach, giving you energy to bridge the physical, spiritual, but the problem is it's not really bridging it. Why? Because it's from the other side. So it's actually coming from the side of klipa and sitra achra. Ki nefesh abasa bedam. The nefesh and the basas of the flesh is in the blood. Mimenu ba'os kol midas ras, and what we get out from this is all the negative attributes from the four foundations of that are not good. There's four Yesodis, so they're not good.
Right.
Yeah, Hashem, remember, we learned a Kuzari once. You learned a Kuzari? Kuzari. Probably better not. I mean, it's good, beautiful sefer. I learned it in university. It was one of the Tvarim I'd learned when I was first doing tshuva. Yehuda Halevi. Yehuda Halevi was a Kuzari. And he brings this concept again and again, the idea that there's four foundational Yesodis of humanity. We're built what with, and he could list it here, but here he's doing it in the negative sense. There's Aish, Mayim, fire, water, earth, and air.
Wind.
Yeah, and there's other Sfarim. There's a sefer called Migdal Oz from Rav Yaakov Emden, I think, and he brings a beautiful explanation of how you can fix your midas through understanding these four foundations. And there's another book later on, a modern day psychologist, therapist, I'm friends with, Mordechai Weinberger, who brings it how to have good marriage, good relationships. Dali Fenster brings it a lot. The idea of working with these different aspects of personalities are based on these different attributes, foundations.
He's also very into
you know Mordechai Weinberger? Oh, Gedalia. Yeah, he likes his constellation. But somewhat. He's not as focused on it. He's bringing a lot from Dov Pinson now. That's elevating the whole sugya.
Right. He's
he goes into the Chodoshim and stuff.
He's the real deal.
Yeah. So anyway, so this idea of
have you ever been by any of his Fabrangas?
No, once or twice. Sort of wandered in without realizing who he was. Back in the day with Chabad, he used to go to Chabad things a lot. I don't really know who he was, but he definitely is a big person in Chassidus. Ma'aba Yesodis Raim Shabbat Dahinu Kas, anger, gaiva, like someone who's full of himself, God forbid. Yisod Aish, this comes out from Aish, from fire. Shenigna Lamala, because what does Aish do? It flames up above. So this anger, this flame. The other day I was in a state of chaos because one of my sons wasn't doing what we all needed him to do in my house. He was just sleeping or taking hours to go to school and everything. And we'd already tried so many times to get him out. So I had this, probably my neighbor here, Mr. Parnas, Rabbi Parnas, might have heard me.
I'm not a rabbi.
Yeah, Mr. Parnas might have heard me screaming out to my son. Do you ever hear the screams a little bit? This is my next door neighbor.
Oh.
Which son?
I don't want to say which son, but don't talk Lashon Hara on him, but he has a problem with sleeping a lot, yeah? But he's very productive, very successful in his life, but he just waking up is his Nisoyan. So I don't know, I was probably frustrated about other stuff, so my wife was saying, here you go, you're taking it out on him. He cleverly avoided me at those moments, and nothing happened, Baruch Hashem. And when I spent Shabbos night walking home with him, I said, I'm really sorry I got such a state, like it wasn't normal. So he said to me, yeah, it's all good. He was like, look, I stayed away, didn't I? Like I said, you sort of stayed in the bathroom for a while, like let me just get it out of my system. And then as soon as my son phoned me from Gaza, then I forgot about the whole thing because it was just like silly, Like, all right, so it'll be a bit late to school. It's not worth losing my kelim, and whatever's bothering me, I have to face. So this whole Yisoda Eish Nigba Lamala, this flaming up above, is this is the part of human being that's fire. We have fire within. We're heat. We're warm. We're energized. Yeah. So if it's used for good, it's gavaldik. But the problem is when it gets used to get angry or gaivadik, and that's where it becomes becomes yesh. It like takes over, where you no longer. It's a little bit like Avodah Zarah, because you're no longer recognizing Hashem's running the world. You're going to make this kid go to school no matter what, yeah? And like grabbing and throwing. I didn't do that, but that's what I wanted to do, yeah? And that wanting to do, knowing that's wrong, it's not going to help him. He's just going to get upset himself. How's he going to be in school when you just threw him out of the house? I didn't, but I wanted to, yeah? How's he going to be? It's nonsense, yeah? It's a lie that you're going to accomplish anything in that state. But we think, no, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to force this situation. The taiva tanugim and tanugim, desires and pleasures, this comes from the Yesod of Mayim. So this is when, say, a person's really into sex, yeah?
Right.
Let's just say it what it is. Relations, yeah? There's a lot of Mayim going on, Mayim nukvim, Mayim zuchrim, these feminine waters, masculine waters, a lot of inyanim of Mayim, of taiva. So that's like one of the spitzes of that taiva. So a person can get addicted to that feeling or that need or the dopamine if you're looking at things he shouldn't. That's all connected to the source of mayim. Ki mayim smichim kol minei tanug, because it grows out all the different kinds of tanugim, pleasures. Of a holiest, letzonis, I would say that would be back to our gambling night. Yeah, that tiferes with the varim betalim, things that are sephoris, things that are just a waste of time. Misoda Ruach. This comes from the Misoda Ruach. He's just talking nonsense, like a lot of the comedy stuff going on nowadays, yeah?
Right.
Which I have a bit of a Yetzirah for. Who doesn't have all these aspects of him? We're a human being. Everyone has these different sides.
Well, these are the negative sides of it.
Oh, yeah,
There's
of
also
course.
a positive.
We'll get to that in a second. Va'aslus, Misoda Afa. Now, this is probably connects to my son's issue with having a problem waking up, is he's that side of himself has some strength that as a teenager, which is normal for most teenagers anyway. But says v'atzvus, I know the atzvus part, but the atzlus, the soda afa comes from the afa.
Interesting.
It grounds you too much.
Right, but
so you're not getting out of bed. You're not energized. You're not happy. Yeah, you're very
right. There's too much in the ground.
Yeah. I was saying to someone that I'm very impressed with some people in my life right now who are dealing with certain difficulties, and they're not dramatizing it. They're not making it a big hoo-ha. And I asked them, and they said to me, and this is our goal of what we're learning here, they're bottled to Hashem. They realize that they're
right.
So when you're working for Hashem, then things that in the past might have driven you crazy and made a whole drama and a whole victimhood story. You're no longer in that state because you're just accepting Hashem's will. So then you can process emotions and difficulties much quicker, much easier, and life moves. It's smoother. It's amazing. Not that we should be tested, but just saying.
I think that's also interesting. It's like here, all the things we just mentioned.
Yeah.
He's saying that these are things that we are naturally born with.
Right.
This is a part of our nefesh bahamis.
Yeah, this is the nefesh, the lower nefesh.
Nefesh of the klipa.
Yeah.
Was it nefesh bahamis, nefesh klipa or something?
Yeah, and we're going to get into that. We didn't define it as bahamis. That's one of his chidushim. And but Rav YY, we mentioned Rav YY.
Yeah.
He in his shirim, he's very into being real,
right.
even if he's very strong in Torah and Chassidus. Like he he says it's very important to be real that you have a nefesh bahamas, not to, people pretend like they're like these malachim. There's no such thing. We have a nefesh bahamas, and now we have to learn how to live with it, and we have to be real with it and face it. And this is the point. When you lay down all the cards on the table, or all the different scenarios and all the realities of your life, and you face your stuff instead of stuffing your face, then you can move forward. The problem is people pretend, no, I don't have an nefesh bahamas, I'm a tzaddik. No, you're not. Stop demyonis. You got anger, you got gaiva, you're jealous, you got all these things going on, and you're not facing any of them. So you're denial. Once you're in denial, how can you fix anything?
Right.
And you're clothing it in all this sidkus that's not real. Gab midas tovus shebeteva kol Yisrael. Yeah, and then there's midas tovus that are in nature that kol Yisrael todosam kamo rachmanus gemilas chasadim ba'os ba'os b'menu. Where's all these beautiful midas that Klal Yisrael have? He left out one of the famous ones, Bashanim, having shame as well. Rachmanus is a very high level that Am Yisrael have on mass. We just make sure we don't use it wrongly. And gemilas chasadim. Yeah, we're very kind people, Baruch Hashem. And it comes out from what? Ki b'Yisrael nefesh. Yeah, in Yisrael this is a nefesh to klipahi maklipas noga. So it's not even such a high nefesh. Yeah, it's an intrinsic part of Klal Yisrael that we get given. So that's why you can't all these movements, liberal movements, that take these good midas like Rahmanim, and a lot of them are Jews usually.
Yeah,
and Balach Chasodim. And the problem is you can't be saying, oh, this is like they're Siddiqim. They're not Siddiqim. This is part of a gift that was given to them just being a Jew.
Right.
The key is now that they're connecting to the Siddiqim, they use it right. That means they can't just make their own movement, like reform movement or something, and think they're being like these holy people doing all this kindness to the Palestinians or whatever who want to kill us.
Yeah.
They got to, not all Palestinians want to kill us, but there's definitely a large amount. So,
the way I was trying to explain it, sounds like they don't all want to kill us. But they basically all don't mind if we're dead.
Yeah. I mean, like my son
even the good ones.
My son, with his own eyes, has seen endless paraphernalia there of brainwashing, Hamas paraphernalia. They've these endless uniforms in houses of Gaza. He's been in their houses, seen really what's in their cupboards, not what the media shows you. They've got dildos and weird stuff going on. They're not really like Siddiqim, like the way they dress and proclaim in their religion. And they've got a lot of darkness in their houses that my son's seen with his own eyes.
Wow. And
it's not coming from a pure place, the Islam that they claim they're part of. Real Islam means you don't have sex objects. Real Islam means you don't work for a terrorist organization. If that's what Islam is, then there's something wrong about it, intrinsically. And I don't think it's intrinsically that screwed up.
Look at these guys, the people, the animals. They're not human beings. Those animals.
So to have Rahmanas on those guys is a mistake. Right. Okay, and that's where Nefesh Yisrael needs to be guided by a tzaddik.
One of the things I really love
by Talmud Chachamim, by truth, by emes.
The way we have Rahmanas on them is by removing them from this earth.
Yeah, Rav Shlomo is not afraid to say it.
Well, yeah, it's
we're going to have that, and you go to Rav Shlomo Katz.
The only chance you have.
You can hear it from Rav YY himself as well. He's not beating around the bush, even though he's more Chabad. He's not going to be like. He's not going to be as strong as someone living in Israel in this Indian, but he's pretty strong on this.
A lot of the American tzaddikim.
Yeah.
You don't really hear them talking in terms of like.
Rav Weinberg is pretty strong about it, no?
Yeah, he'll say, but he kind of like. It's a different style, his style. Like he'll just say it on the side, like he'll be speaking in the shir, and he'll just say like the Rishon Gemurim that we should remove from this planet. Like to him, it's like a very Parshat thing.
Yeah. He's not going to give a shir about it.
He's not going to give a shir about it, but like he'll just like say like, one day every single one of them will be removed. He'll just like say it like as if.
Well, the interesting thing of the Tanya is it says it's coming from Yisrael the nefesh the klipahim klipas noga, shebagam kein tov yimisod eitz adas v'tovara. So it's a bit of a bilbil, that place where it's coming from. So you can see why people get confused. If they're not attaching to the higher elements of the soul and the Siddiqim and the Adracha of the Torah, then you can see why these good Jews out there, because they are good people in essence, they get confused. Because it's coming, Nogesh Eshbo Gamkein Tov, V'himasod Eitz Das Toveras. But they're coming from that grey matter that Rav Shlomo was talking about yesterday. That place of mixture, where they're no longer clear what's good, what's not.
Right. Yeah,
it comes out from the sod of Eitz Hadas, the tree of wisdom, good
so
and
much
bad.
to learn here,
So
all these different things.
yeah, I mean these are big concepts. Yeah, I mean look, I don't know what Rav Chaim Miller underneath says. I'm sure he's not going to mince his words. I mean, there's a lot going on down there.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff here.
I mean, come on, let's think about it. It's talking about the nefesh of Yisrael that's good, Rachmanim, Gemilas Chasodim, but it's coming from the klipa. It's not from the oiris. It's coming from the shell of called klipas noga, which is that translucent. It's hard to translate it. Translucent like shell. I don't know a better word to say. Nefesh Bahamis comes from this. He's saying Nefesh Bahamis comes from this. There's some guy who's writing in here. He's saying Nefesh Bahamis comes from
this
Klipas
is in
Noga.
your notes?
No, someone else wrote this. So this idea, the tree of knowledge is comprised of good and evil. My Sefer Tanya, I had this years ago, Lessons in Tanya. I used to walk around with it in Yerushalayim. It's gone somewhere. Someone in Yerushalayim has it. I don't know. Or it's in my machzan in Yerushalayim. I don't know where it is. It's called Brilliant, Transparent. Yeah, he brings a few different languages here of what the Klipas Noga. He brings Reb Patio.
Who's Reb Patio?
Yossi Patio is big Rav as well. Worth listening to. Sometimes there was shirim of yeshiva.org of YY's place where they had his shirim, but now he has his own thing more that I see him, and I've been listening a little bit here and there. Very good shirim from a very big Bar Machshava in Chabad, and knows what he's talking about. Brings the Rebbe Mamish. Anyway, beautiful short. There's so many. Thank God, I feel blessed. There's so many Rabbonim like to learn these concepts out from, and that's why it's going to be a long project to really get this clear. It's not like this is like easy come, easy go. This is deep Musagim in Chassidus.
It's a bright. It's a bright klipa.
Yeah.
It's a derivative from the klipa noga.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's interesting. Okay, klipa noga.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to get into this concept. This concept Klipa Noga is gonna be really important in the coming chapters.
Oh, they talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. Everything we're touching on here is just like almost like an intro. We're gonna have chapters on this. Yeah, we're gonna go into this deep.
Is this all still part of Rav Chaim Vital, or we've stopped?
Yes, I think this is all Rav Chaim Vital. It's based on the Zohar. And because he was the one who brought the initial definition, there's two neshamas. Neshamas ani asisi and neshamas which I have made. There are two nefashas. The Rebbe Shlita notes here. Let's see what it says on the. These are two nefashas, making it clear that two souls possessed by every Jew are not necessarily of the soul level of neshama. You see, there's a chilek between nefesh and neshama. The third highest of the five levels: nefesh, ruach, neshama, chay, yechida.
Right.
For this soul level is not necessarily found in every Jew. And certainly not in his animal soul. Rather, first the essential soul level nefesh possessed by every Jew.
Interesting.
So there's a chilek with all these other levels of ruach, neshama, chay, yechida.
You'll see some
the
people.
The nefesh is what we're focusing on right now.
You'll see some people who have, a bigger Yetzirah, so to speak, than other places, or they're just.
But those guys might have bigger potential spiritually.
Bigger potential for sure, and sometimes the
problem is they're not actualizing it. That's the problem.
Right, everyone's wired differently.
This is why it's so individual. We've got to learn the concepts, and then we can start figuring out where we are.
Right.
And that takes a lot of learning, because to figure out where you are in the spiritual map of things, it's not going to be like easy. Like you have people, professors, and like all kinds of lesbian dance. I know all this nonsense out there. Yeah. Now we have to become professors in truth, in MS. I heard this from Motzel Zilber once. He said that we have to become professors in Torah and Panemius.
Right.
That we have to really learn the sugyas, and really, it's not going to be easy and just quick. And it's going to take a lot of work. And the Baal Tanya was a huge moyach. Even when you look at his picture, he looks like that. Yeah, there's going. Yeah, it's huge. Like he's the shorish of all the Chassidus of Chabad. So and he's carrying the weight of being the mantle of Chassidus coming through him from the Magid and Mezish and the Baal Shem, and being like literally the Rav of Chassidus at that time. For all the Chassidim, for the Bedicheva, Noam Elimelech, he was like the Rav, like the Posek, like he was the Gaon in Niglas Torah and Panimis Torah. He wrote the Rav Shulchan Aruch. Like he was a huge person, and the Mishnah Berurah brings him as the Grizz, the Goyen of Shnul Zalman. Yeah,
Right.
like he's not some Shneur Zalman. He's not some small. It's not just like another set of Chassidus. This is like a very foundational Torah, and it's bringing from the Chaim Vital, from the Arizal. This is the deepest of deep. Like we had before the Kisveri from Rabbi Nachman. Now we're learning from Chaim Vital the Talmud of the Arizal, and how he was that's like Reb Nosson was the scribe of Reb Nachman. Chaim Vital was the scribe of the Arizal, and we're getting into this very deep ideas of different levels of nefesh, and the nefesh. So let's just summarize. We got the nefesh of the Yetzer Hara, that's of the klipa, the ach sitra acha, which is all the daled yesodus of how human beings are formed through earth, wind, fire, water. That comes out of midas ras, and we said Eish is anger and gaiva, mayim is taiva, like desires, tanugim of this world, and ruach is litzonis, joking around. The air is litzonis, and lightheartedness in a not good way, and then the last one is afa, which is overly grounded, where you get into atzvus and earthy ways of being, where you're not energized, you're just too down, too much downness. And then you get to the next level of nefesh, which is the nefesh of Yisrael, but it's still derived from klipas noga. It's not from the klipas sitra achra, it's not from the other side, but it's a translucent, transparent shell that has good in it, but it's a bilbul of tree of knowledge of good and evil. I think that's the summary of where we're at, and that's based on the Zohar. Okay, the Zohar is based on Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, so we're not just learning from Chaim Vital. He's getting it from Arizal and Shimon Bar Yochai, and
Shimon Bar Yochai got it from Moshe Rabbeinu.
Yeah, so it's a Masorah Panemius. Yeah. Now, let's go ahead and we'll get to chapter 2. I think we can finish the chapter 1. It'll be a big achievement. Not that we've finished it, but we're just sort of opening up doors for lots of stories that we're going to go into in the Sefer. Be'ezras Hashem, Sat Shmai Gedola. Masha Ein Kein Nefashis Umas Ha'olam. Yeah. So are we there? Masha Ein Kein. Nefashis Umas of their Gululim, he says in the actual language of the Tanya, not the translation. Umas of the Gululim, which is these like nations of people who serve these Gululim, whatever that means, some sort of like other sort of gods kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. What happens with those dudes? Hein Mishar Klipas Tumeus. Yeah. Those souls are coming from other kinds of unclean klipot with.
I'm confused here. Masha Ein Kain.
Nefashis Umas, like the nations, of the Gelulim.
Oh, it's interesting. He skips the and here he skips
the translation
of Ovdei Gelulim.
What does he say? Uvdei.
No, it's not even in here.
Interesting. Maybe because I don't know. He doesn't like it. I don't know.
No, it could be
the nations of the world. He just says underneath.
Yeah, Hamish.
Also doesn't really say it.
I think the reason why is because non-Jewish people or non-religious people are going to read this and say.
So the old translation doesn't care about that. Yeah. And it says emanate from other nations of the world. No, it also does. You're right. It skips it. It seems like every translation skips it.
Right? Yeah, the fascist almost
doesn't say.
Yeah, I imagine they don't really want people reading this.
PC, yeah.
A little PC or someone would not be happy.
No, he wouldn't. Maybe there's this Masorah why? Because remember, there's a gavul with Chabad how much they go into the negative zachin.
Right.
It's a certain focus in Asay Tov.
Right.
I don't think it's like because they're afraid of it.
They serve
these like silly idols. Yeah.
Right.
Hein Mishar Klipas. Yeah, like you can make your phone into your idol if you want. You can make all kinds of stuff into idols.
Everything.
Someone was saying, I was listening to Shir the other day. I think it was Gedalia Offensive. Was saying you can make your your apps, your app. You build an app and you're making money out of it. You can make that into an idol, because you're seeing so much shafa coming through this business you've created.
Right.
So you start to think that this is the source of your income. Where's the source of your income? Nothing to do with your business. It's a Shem Yisbarach. Yeah, and it's not to do with that person who's paying. It's from Hashem Yisbarach. Everything Panasa comes from Hashem, and that you have to keep reminding yourself. The problem is the world out there gets caught up with all these Ovdei Gelulim. Yeah, Hey Mishar, Klipas, Tumeus, and all these other kinds of shells that are impure. Shein behen tov klal, and this is really scary. There's no good in it at all. Yeah, that's when you start getting into dangerous territory. Right. Stay away from that stuff. there's no good in it. Yeah, because he brings here, it's interesting. He says ego doesn't have to be bad. I think this is Rev David Jerome saying this, and he's just written it down. Yeah, we don't. You don't have to make it bad. So why is it some things are totally bad? So I think Hashem gives this bechira we talked about the other day, this choice factor, where you can choose to be disconnected, which is really not a good choice.
Right.
People choose, they do. Unfortunately, there's people out there. I don't want to name them and stuff, but they're out there. She'ain behen tog klau, k'ma shekosev ve'etz chaim shah mem tes Perek Gimel kol tivu da'avdin umas of de gelulim gemeu avdin of avidin. Yeah. So what does he say? This. So in Eitz Chaim, Portal 49, chapter 3, that all the good that nations do is done out of what? The avdin or umas, the gemara avdin. So that means selfish motives, the way they translate it here. And this is a massive chiluk. Yeah. You have these people, they'll say, there's nothing more a key to happiness than doing kindness with people. Beautiful souls like Tony Robbins or whatever. Yeah, I'm not judging him in any way. I don't know what his insides are.
It's very true. You see, even
he'll give millions to feed poor people.
Right, but it's all within his context of what his ego is telling him to do.
Or his trauma of growing up poor. He grew up poor, so then the people that brought him the Thanksgiving meal, as one of his stories goes, that's what empowered him to want to become wealthy and help others.
Right.
So it always comes back to some initial. So then the point is, as pure as it is in terms of the kindness aspect, but it's never pure totally of selfish motives.
Right.
Now he might argue and say, "Hey, you don't know me, Mr. Eli and Mr. Eli." Right. Say, "You two Elis don't know me. You don't know me that well. Maybe inside I've done the inner work that I
would say to him, why do I know how
God,
much money?
Whatever he holds God is, huh?"
But my response to him would say, I would ask him a couple of questions. I would say, why do I know how much money? Why do you publicize all the money?
So he'll say, I'm motivating everybody else.
Right, okay. And then the second question is...
I'm a motivator, even though he doesn't like being called that. He actually hates having to call a motivational speaker.
But even that, I'm motivating anyone else. Who says people, this is your own thing. You're robbing yourself of your true experience.
By publicizing
it, you're doing
the true people who give laser shiner, nobody knows. People find out it's not. He doesn't want. I once put a picture of him giving something to Rav Osh up online. Within 3 minutes, I got a text. Get that down now.
Right.
Yeah. Scary. Get it down now. Do not publicize if it goes live.
Right.
Maybe you can't always prevent it. That people hear that he's done this and done that. But he's not trying to publicize it.
One of the biggest donators in the Jewish world is the Wilson family. You don't see their names anywhere.
Yeah, except Wilson, Moshe Wilson.
People know that they're Baal. No one knows what they're giving to. You don't see their names really anywhere.
Yeah, I've been into most of them in Eretz Yisrael. I've worked for them for years.
Right.
I worked for an organization called Jaffa Institute, Beit Shemesh Educational Center. I worked for a bunch of umbrella organizations. Thank God I've been around in this country. And Baruch Hashem. And in those offices, they have all these folders. I don't know what's going on now with technology, and maybe they've all computerized it, or maybe the files are still there, but now it's all through computers. But they had boxes and boxes of files from different, supporters. Majority was the Wilson Foundation, and that was in a few mostesses I saw that.
Right.
They are massive contributors, and they have so much grant money that they give, and the amount is humongous, and it's not just one place. It's all over
right.
It's like Tannenbaum. But wow, every place you went, you saw their name on the wall. Yeah. Yeah. But with Wilson, you don't always see.
He quotes Reb Ginsburg.
Oh, really? What does he say?
I don't know. It says for contemporary Chabad interpretations.
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about. Where's the double star? The nations of the world, they do no good. I hear. Okay, wait, so at the end here, it says here, the East of the Gemara, Pasuk Chesed L'Umas Achata, Mayu. Right,
we're going to get that, and we haven't read that yet.
The East of the Gemara.
Let's read the Gemara first. Let's read the Tanya before we get to any explanations. The East of the Gemara, I'll perish Chesed L'Umas Chatas. Yeah, the Chesed, the kindness of the nations is
sinful.
Sin. Why is it sin? Shekol tzedakah v'chesed she'umas of dei gelulim osin einu ela liyisyaya. It's for self-glorification and so on. So real chesed nobody knows about. Yeah, like when I was midnight rabbi, like I really didn't publicize it. There wasn't much social media back then as it is now, but I did 5 years or more on night every night. Bachrim Kamar. I didn't get on a podcast every week and tell everybody what I'm doing. I just did it. Yeah, and the shivas paid me minimal, and no one really cared or gave me any clout or credit for it. And I just did it because that was my avoda. It was in Yerushalayim.
Right.
And I didn't tell them when I went to learn and this and that and all the different other ma'asim that went on during that night. It's nobody's business, yeah?
Right.
Whereas now, like, literally you go somewhere, you've got like a camera crew videoing what you're doing. It's like, even in the Jewish world, people have got caught up with this whole influencer world.
Right.
Like, it's nobody's business. Like, sometimes it's nice to actually just do something and not tell anyone.
So they like publicize. I remember like during, I don't know, one of these like national disasters in America.
Yeah.
It's like basketball player Dwayne Wade or LeBron James.
Yeah.
Like on ESPN, it was showing it donates $50,000 or $100,000.
Sometimes it's just for tax write-off. Even it's not even because they want to do that.
I was like, this guy is making $100 million plus a year.
It's like not even 10%.
And they're like publicizing his check that people in the Jewish community who make like 10% of what he makes.
And they give it like monthly.
Checks.
These kind of people.
Yeah, it's like it's
joke.
all jokes.
And it's true. If you go into America and start finding out who are the large donations coming from, it's Jews.
Right,
it's
like all Jews, even the non-religious Jews.
Like
they're
every American, like even Trump talked about it many times. There's a whole bunch of speeches I remember even listening to him, watching him talk about it, even older ones. How he saw that the Baal Chasadim, or Baal Chesed of New York, when he was more involved in New York, are the Jews.
Right.
Like there's a whole speech of him in yeshiva talking about it. Like he used to come to these things, say Jews were inspiring him to give more.
Yeah, that's the movement within the Frum community in America and Europe is to give 20% of your money to tzedakah.
Wow.
And that's what a lot of people do that now is they give 20%.
That's amazing.
10% is not enough anymore.
Wow. So look, we are not doing it l'shem to advertise, even though it goes on. There is people now getting caught up with this whole influencer social media, chol nefesh world, and I call it. It's like sick. It's a sickness, and I wish I could have nothing to do with it, honestly. But unfortunately, I do have what to do with it. So I do mafasem things that's going on. But I think one of the things we should talk about on the kindness podcast. The next one I think we'll talk about Mashiach. But I think the one after that, we need to talk about this, about doing chesed that's sneersley, quietly.
Yeah.
Like when I was with Yosef Aaron the other day, like he got up at the table, we went out to eat, because someone helped sponsor a meal for him finally. So we used it for our wives, to say thank you to our wives. And he got up in the middle of the meal and just went off and quietly paid for a soldier's table with food.
Right.
So he didn't take a picture of it, a video, didn't ask them, he didn't even let them know who paid for it, he just did it.
Right.
That's the kind of like chesed Am Yisrael are busy with.
Yeah.
No one has to know. You just, it's not.
Nobody has to know.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
Right.
Sometimes you can't always do that kind of chesed because you need to first take care of your own, Dalet Amos, which is unfortunately often
which is also big chesed too.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. It's the same.
Tzedakah begins at home.
Right. I think that's the biggest thing people often forget.
Can't be
doesn't
stingy
feel
with
the
your
best
family.
to do. Yeah.
The only problem is
that.
My wife says that what she's seeing out there, and this is an important point, that because we have to understand we're dealing with a point where we've been sort of pulled into a world that's not ours. So one of the things that kids feel they need to have all the technology, all the furniture. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen, like if you have a computer, you don't just get the computer, you have to have the furniture of the computer, like the desk and the chair, and there's all this paraphernalia that go along with it.
Right.
And then they need all the paraphernalia, the new things. Apparently my wife is saying that girls are now getting skin treatment at the age of 8. Like doing all kinds of
plastic surgery.
No, not just that, beautifications and like even just creams and stuff that when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, you'd have mud on your face and you'd go play in the dirt and you go have a shower afterwards and use some basic soap. You didn't have 20 different products. Yeah.
Right.
That's not something kids should be busy with. You should just be kids. Your skin's clean anyway. It's pure. It's naturally healthy. You don't need to start sticking all this garbage on it. Yeah?
Right.
So it's like it's got to a point where it's so far from basic, like pure motives that some of the things that families are being pulled into spending on, like these PESA programs or whatever, are so far from Ratzon Hashem. So then, how can you have money now to give charity? Because you're spending on Narishkeit. You're needing to have 5 cars. What do you need 5 cars for? 10 cars, 100 cars.
4 cars is enough.
No, 4 exactly. What do you need? So I'm just saying, it gets a bit silly sometimes when you say tzedakah bins at home. That's not tzedakah. That's
already
just like living in a disgusting way. So then, therefore, how are you going to have the extra money to be able to really do the full chesed? So the real people out there, they'll make sure they're taken care of, but they'll always prioritize the Ratzon Hashem of chesed and tzedakah.
Right.
And that's the chiluk between us and the Umas Olam, the nations of the world, that they won't be doing it l'shem shamayim.
Right.
And we are. When we're doing charity, we're doing it l'shem shamayim, hopefully. And I think that's something we see.
I think that there's like this Indian in that, I think that it's like somebody who will go visit someone, let's say someone goes now to the hospital to visit a sick soldier, let's say an injured soldier, right?
Yeah.
So I think the idea here is that, we have that the I don't know how he refers to it as. Interesting. It doesn't get a lot of.
Because these are a lot of intros to concepts. We're not fully involved.
It doesn't get a lot of.
And even that's mixed up with good and bad. Yeah.
Right. The nefesh achas b'tzad klipa. The nefesh of klipa.
Yeah, it's still not a pure level.
Which we eventually call the nefesh.
We haven't even got to the pure level of the soul of Yisrael. That's the next chapter. Nefesh Hashenis begins the next chapter. Yisrael. Chelek Elokayim Imam Mamish. That's when we're really into that. What is this nefesh of Yisrael that's pure? That's l'shem shamayim. We haven't even got into it yet. And it comes from a portion of God, Mamish.
Wow.
That's what we're going to get to next. And this is a very important chapter in Tanya. We're going to learn this tomorrow, Mr. Hashem. Yeah, we're here. Baruch Hashem. We thank Hashem. We'll be here tomorrow, and we're going to learn about Chelek Elokayim Imam Mamish, this godly portion. It's a key direction post for all of Klal Yisrael to go towards this godly soul that's inside of us.
Right. But from the nefesh the nefesh of klipa, we'll call it. So when we do, let's say, an act of chesed, there's still, I think, the idea is that there's the idea of, let's say, the tov part of it, the part of like, why we're doing chesed, why we're doing something like that. But then within it, there's always going to be this like sediment of klipa that exists also from the klipa, the bad side of klipa, which is also fine too. It's like, when someone goes visits a sick person in the hospital, there's a part of them that's like, no matter what, you're taking something from it. It's very hard to extract all the klipa from it. Right?
Do it totally Hashem Shemayim.
It's very hard. That's a level that like maybe only the tzaddikim that.
Well, that's what we're gonna go into it. Nefesh. How do we get more pure by connecting to the godly soul?
Right.
And the godly soul will give us the ability to be more l'shem shamayim and to have the right headspace, mindset to serve Hashem be'emes.
Right.
That's going to be the guidepost. The godly soul is going to guide us because it's a chelik of godliness. That means it's got everything that we need to know and connect to is in that chelik, that portion inside of us.
Right.
And that's a beautiful gift that we have. And if we're truly in tune with it, then nothing else will bother us because we're here for that godly soul and that godly mission that the godly soul empowers and vivifies. Yes. And it's a pure place.
Yes, Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg.
Yeah, what's he say?
Nothing. It just says, see, in regards to the part where the world of the Umas Olam are garbage. He says, Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg. I imagine he probably doesn't have a lot of positive things to say about the outside world.
This thing brings Elliot Wolfson. Do you think that's a Wolfson guy?
I don't know. He probably is more of a mysticist beyond law. I imagine that not everyone here probably has the same.
You got a friend
opinion.
called Jody Myers.
Jody Myers.
He's definitely not my friend.
Kabbalah for the Gentiles.
Yeah. The vice size of universalism, the contemporary.
I imagine those people are more like, oh, they're holy too. I imagine Yitzchak Ginsburg, Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg.
Why would Chaim Miller bring it all?
Why? I guess he for contemporary Chabad interpretations here.
Turning Judaism outwards. Yeah.
I guess there's like different things.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go around like saying this to everybody, but in the end of the day, like the Tanya got locked up in prison for these kind of comments.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of the Chabad tzaddikim, a lot of tzaddikim got locked up in prison because
right.
we're not it's not racist. It's talking about panemius, and on a panemius level, there has to be that covered to the soul, to the true panemius reality. And once there's that respect and that acceptance of this as the true authority, the soul level, the panemius level of Torah, then you can start to bring it down into practicalities.
Right.
It's a certain bittul to the Torah of Chassidus before you can really understand how it applies in everyday contemporary life.
The umos ha'olam, you look at it, it's the outside. Let's say the outside world, they're not really doing very well.
No.
America is
no. It's not. The world's showing, unfortunately, these concepts are.
Europe, America is turning into
it's getting very corrupt and very very self-focused, and this l'shem shamayim, this pure soul level of doing it for the sake of goodness and godliness.
Right.
That's what the world needs more than ever now.
Right.
It needs it more than ever.
I read this.
So this next chapter we're going to get into is the key to saving the world in a way.
I read this I read this that one of these Yamach Shemayim congressmen who are part of this